by now you've already opened a CDS account. You've managed to log into your stockbroker's account. You've managed to view all these different companies. Your question is, which company should I invest in? Now, when you're choosing the company to invest in, there's a whole criteria that I'll discuss later on how to choose a company, but there are two things that you must know. You can decide to go for a company that pays out dividends. I have a list of companies here that paid out their stocks, their dividends in 2024. I will leave the link, but let's have a look at that as I explain the different types of dividends, because now you're going to look at dividends and you're going to look for the company that gives you the best dividends, right? Now, this is the list of companies that paid out their dividends in 2024. You can have a look at them. We have East Africa Portlands. We have all these companies that I've listed here, plus more. Let me scroll down so that you can have a look at them. But there are other companies as well. I will leave a link to this in the description, list of dividend-paying stocks. When you view this sheet, this Excel sheet that I prepared, we have the special dividend. Don't look at that when you're looking for a company that pays out dividends, because a special dividend is a type of dividend that is impromptu. It probably wasn't anticipated. It came along in the year. Probably the company made a lot of profits, like excess profits that they decided to reward their investor, that is you. Or probably the company sold one of their companies that they own, like a subsidiary. A subsidiary is a company that is owned by another company. Probably they sold that, just something around that. Or probably they are in a good mood based on the financial records that they decide to pay out dividends. An example is Bamburi. They paid out a special dividend, and we also have Jubilee Holdings. They paid out a special dividend. When you're looking for a company to invest in, don't look at the special dividend, because it's a type of dividend that is not predictable. It's like a bonus. We have the interim dividend. Now, there are companies that pay out their dividends once or twice a year. It can either be once or twice a year. Companies that pay out their dividends twice a year, they usually pay out their first dividend. That is called the interim dividend. This dividend is unusually smaller than the last or final dividend, because it's them deciding to pay you dividends even before them concluding how their financial books look like. They don't have their financial books all together. They don't have books to say this is how much profit we made by the end of 2024, because they've decided to pay you a small reward before they even look at their finances critically. But they know they are going to be profitable, or they might not. Actually, they must be profitable. Now, an interim dividend is like the first dividend, and usually it's a smaller amount. You'll find that for a company that pays out their dividends twice a year, I'll give an example of Safaricom. The initial dividend, let me scroll down so that you're able to see. I don't know if I added it here, but the first interim dividend that they paid out was around 0.5 shillings per share. Then later on, when the books were closed, that is like 6 months later, they were like, you know what, let's now pay 0.65. So an interim dividend is paid out the first time. It's usually smaller, and it's not like a true indicator of how the company performs, because you have to add up the interim and the final dividend, that is the first dividend and the second dividend, to determine how much dividend was paid out during that year. Now, for interim dividend, we have the likes of I&M here. They paid out an interim dividend of 1.3. If you see a company paying out an interim dividend, that is the first dividend, immediately there's going to be the final dividend. There's going to be another dividend, but I didn't locate it here because you can see it was paid out in November last year, November 2024. Their books will close, like the books for 2024, when they're going to say this is how much profits we made, this is how much profits we made here and there. It's going to be paid around 2025. That's how their books run. So this is the first one for I&M. There's going to be another one that is going to be paid out in 2025, since this is the list of companies that paid out their dividends in 2024. Another company that has an interim dividend was Absa. You can see the amount is small, 0.2. There's going to be another one, later on in the year in 2025. Stanchart the same. They paid out an interim dividend. We expect another dividend to be paid out later or in the earlier on in 2025. Same for KCB, BAT, America Tobacco. Actually, this one is small because they usually pay a huge final dividend, like 40, 20 plus. It's a lot. So you can get to see that most of these companies, all these companies paid out their dividends in 2024. Most likely they are going to pay out in 2025, but it's not a guarantee. A company can decide to pay out dividends this year and next year they're like, nah, we should not pay you. Like not this year. We didn't hit our targets. Yeah, it's not a must. Dividends are not a must. That's one of the risks involved with investing in stocks. We have the first and final dividend. This is the type of dividend that is the one and only. An example is Kengen. Kengen, they paid out the first and final dividend. So we can say in 2024, this is the dividend that was paid out. There is none that is to be expected. It's just one. This company pays out dividends once a year. Another one is Total Energies. They paid out 1.92 shillings. It's the first and final. CIC, the same. Which company is this? Bamburi, the same. Now, the final dividend is the last dividend that was paid out. So if the final dividend has been paid out, the other dividend that is going to be paid out is going to be for the next year, the next financial year. We call it financial year. Yes, so for final dividends, a final dividend is an indicator that there was an interim dividend in the beginning. There was the first dividend that was paid out. Now we have the last one. That's what it indicates. You can see we have Centum, we have NCBA, we have, which company is this? We have East Africa Brewery Limited, we have Jubilee Holdings. Wow. Williamson Tea, Kapchorua Tea, these are agricultural farms. Kenya Re Insurance paid out. This one is Safcom. Yeah, Safcom paid out 0.55 earlier on in the year. I actually forgot to add it here, but I'll add it. Like I said, you can download this. I'll leave a link to that. Declaration month is just the month that they say in November, okay, we're going to pay you dividends, but dividends are going to be paid at a later date. The declaration month is not the payment month. In this case, let's take, for example, let me use this company, I&M. In November 2024, they said, in this specific date, at this specific date in 2025, usually 3 months from then, it can be less than 3 months. They can decide to say in January 2025, you're going to pay out your dividends. But we are now declaring it now such that if you buy any stocks after this month, you're not eligible for dividends. One thing to note about dividends is that they usually declare. There's this declaration month. It's usually a date. They say, they can come up and say on 25th November that we have declared for anybody who has shares in East African Portlands, you're going to get 1 shilling per share. The declaration month is not necessarily the month that you're going to get your money. It's just them declaring that.